The Van Dijk versus John Terry debate is very interesting because it's really not about ability of these players, but it's about what you value in a defender. Welcome back to Victor Analysis. Van Dijk represents the modern day centre back, calm under pressure, elite on the ball and physically dominant, also comfortable defending high lines. When he joined Liverpool, everything really changed for Liverpool. Their defensive structure got more stabilized, their fullbacks could now push forward with confidence, and the pressing worked better because the backline was more secure. And at its peak, especially between 2018 to 2020, Van Dijk was probably the most complete defender in the world. He was combining pace, aerial dominance, positioning and composure in a way that felt really effortless. He rarely dived in, rarely panicked, rarely looked stretched. And in modern football, where space behind the defense is constantly attacked, that kind of control is incredibly valuable. John Terry was a different kind of dominance. He was a different kind of player. Terry wasn't built for highlight reels. He was built for war. He played in an era where Premier League was, more direct, more physical and more confrontational. Strikers weren't drifting wide and pressing high. They were backing at you, they were backing into you, battling you, testing you every second. And Terry thrived in that environment. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the most elegant on the ball, but his reading of the game was elite. His anticipation, positioning, the way he timed his tackles, and most importantly, his leadership. You could feel Terry in a match. For those of us that watched Chelsea in those days, you could feel Terry in a match. He organized the line, he demanded standards from his fellow players, he took responsibility. While Van Dijk brings calm to the game, Terry brings command, or rather he brought command at the time. Now, statistically, Van Dijk probably has the cleaner profile, in terms of higher passing accuracy, more progressive involvement, and fewer chaotic moments. But in football, it isn't just about, profile. It's about influence. And when you look at the longevity, leadership, and consistency of John Terry across different managers and different systems, his body of work is very difficult to ignore. He anchored title-winning teams, he performed in Europe, he delivered in high-pressure games, for over a decade. Van Dijk has had an extraordinary peak, but John Terry had an era, a whole era to himself. And that is why, if I have to choose one, I might end up, leaning towards John Terry. Not because Van Dijk isn't world class, he absolutely is, but because John Terry's defensive authority, leadership, his presence and his sustained dominance in one of the toughest leagues in the world, that gives him a little edge over Van Dijk. They have different styles, they played in different era, both players are elites. But if I'm building a back line and I need someone to lead it through anything, I'm definitely choosing John Terry. So what do you think? Based on all I've said, who do you think you would pick if you are creating a backline to win any trophy in the world? Drop your answer in the comment section. See you in the next one.